I want to discuss how Mike Hazen needs to attack the offseason, this D-backs offseason, because I think this is a really important offseason for the D-backs. And so there are a few things I think Mike Hazen needs to do, some steps, some processes he needs to take for this to be a successful offseason. And the first one I think he needs to do is look at this offseason as the year one of building a long-lasting playoff contender. This is not the offseason where we're going to make the all-in moves. This is not the offseason where you go out there and sign the Aaron Judges of the world. But this should be the first step, the first offseason where you actually try to build a playoff contender. I'm not saying they haven't tried to do that the last couple of years, but some of the moves they made, like signing a Jubal Cabrera and Oliver Perez, those aren't going to be the moves that move the needle to help you gain closer to the playoffs, right? So for this D-backs team, they need to start making winning moves, win now moves, not all in moves, but at least win now moves that will help the D-backs make the playoffs within the next couple years, if not next year. The D-backs are not going to go out there and sign someone like Trey Turner to a massive $300 million deal. One, because we know their owner is way too cheap to do that. And two, the D-backs are not necessarily in a position where they're a Trey Turner away from competing for a title. Trey Turner wants to win now, and the D-backs are not exactly in World Series or bust mode. So we're not exactly the perfect fit for a Trey Turner. Also, the D-backs think Jordan Lawler could be ready by the end of next season, if not the year after. So there's a couple of reasons why the D-backs wouldn't just go out there and sign like a Trey Turner. But does that mean the D-backs should just sit on their hands and just give the job to a Geraldo Perdomo or Nick Ahmed? I'm not saying that they should do that either. I'm saying the D-backs are not going to go out there and sign Trey Turner because we know about Jordan Lawler, him being on the precipice of potentially making his debut in the near future. But that shouldn't stop the D-backs from at least going out there and getting a quality bridge shortstop that you can use as trade bait until Jordan Lawler is ready. Because why not still have a really good player playing shortstop that's not a Nick Ahmed or Geraldo Perdomo, who, let's face it, right now, those are below average major leaguers. The D-backs could go out there and still sign or trade for an above average major leaguer they just have for a year or two to use as a bridge gap until Jordan Lawler comes over, that helps you actually win games in the short term. And then you can trade him for maybe future assets or a reliever down the line until Jordan Lawler is ready. That's the kind of moves that the D-backs should be thinking about. So that's the first thing I'm doing if I'm Mike Hazen. Obviously not going to sign the superstars, but you can still sign quality players until some of those young players are ready to mature. Number two, start building up that bullpen. We know the D-backs bullpen is the biggest weakness on this team, and the bullpen is not going to be fixed in one offseason. But the D-backs need to come away with at least a couple arms who will be sticking around past this season. The D-backs can't just go out there and sign relievers to one-year deals who are going to leave if they have a good season in free agency next year. The D-backs need to sign good relievers and hope that good relievers stay in the building past this season. That's how you build stability in the back end of your bullpen. And specifically, the D-backs are going to need a couple of quality right-handed pitchers, because they do have Joe Mantiply and Kyle Nelson, two really good lefty relievers right now. So if they could go out there and get two righty relievers, now you got four dudes in the bullpen I can trust. I would love that for the D-backs. Finding a closer, that would be absolutely gold, but I don't know if it's going to happen this offseason. But if they're able to do it, that would also be phenomenal. So number two on my list, start building up that bullpen. Number three thing that I think Mike Hazen has to do is start exploring the trade market for the outfielders, but don't rush into anything. Start putting out feelers, start putting out phone calls, start hitting up the GMs. Hey, sir. Hey, Mr. Crane of Houston. How's it going? Want to make a deal? Give me Framber Valdez for Alek Thomas? Like, the D-backs, we know, have a logjam in the outfield, and they will eventually need to make a move. But does that mean they need to make a move right now? That's not what that means. We know they have a logjam, but the talent is so young, so fresh, so raw. They don't have to rush into making any moves. If there is a trade out there that helps the D-backs get better and win games in the short term, like trading in Alek Thomas or Jake McCarthy for one of those Houston Astros starters or a Freddie Peralta from Milwaukee. If you could do one of those deals, then okay, I'll be listening to that. But if you're just trading one of the outfielders for future assets, I just think that would be a bad idea. So for Mike Hazen, number 3 would be explore the trade market for the outfielders, but don't rush into anything. I just want to see how these players are currently valued and what you could get back in a potential deal. Number 4, don't sign veterans to take major opportunity away from young players. And when I say that, I'm not trying to contradict number 1, which is, still get those bridge gap players, until like a Jordan Lawler is ready. Number 4 means don't go out there and sign the Rich Hills and the Wade Mileys, veterans way past their prime who just aren't going to be that quality to take opportunity away from the Dre Jamesons, the Ryan Nelsons, and the Brandon Fats. Like, we don't want that. Don't sign players like Robbie Grossman who are going to be expecting real opportunity, but are not going to be able to get it because of the logjam in the outfield. And don't promise the guys like Robbie Grossman they're going to get opportunity. We need to sign quality veterans who know they are the second option on the team. They know they're coming in to mentor the young kiddos and be the backups of young kiddos. I'm not anti-signing veterans. I'm just anti-signing veterans at positions where we have the Corbin Carrolls and the Dalton Varshos of the world. The shortstop for the D-backs, you can sign a quality veteran there until Jordan Lawler is ready. Third base, I like Josh Rojas, but he can play all over the field. He can do second base with Ketel Marte going to DH. I'm not really that in on Manny Rivera. So if the D-backs want to go out there and sign Evan Longoria to platoon with Josh Rojas, like, I wouldn't be upset at that. It's the other positions. Don't go out there and just sign old starting pitchers like a Dallas Keuchel again. When you have these really young starters already on the major league level and in the farm system coming up. So that would be my number 4 thing for Mike Hazen. Don't just go out there and sign veterans to take opportunity away from young players at power positions. Then the last thing on my list that Mike Hazen needs to do to attack this offseason and make it a successful offseason is get Madison Bumgarner off the team. I don't care if you have to pay for the whole contract. I don't care if you have to give up your firstborn son. Get Madison Bumgarner off the team because right now he's an anchor in this rotation that's holding the rotation back, holding this team back. Every 5th day he has to go out there and start is a nightmare for this D-backs franchise. So figure out a way to get Madison Bumgarner off the team. And like I said on yesterday's podcast, if you have to start GoFundMe, I'm sure D-backs Nation will happily donate some money. So what are the 5 things I think Mike Hazen needs to do? Look at this offseason as year 1 of building a lasting playoff contender. Don't be afraid to go out there and sign quality, players to be bridges at positions like shortstop, right? But don't go out there and make all-in moves because the D-backs are not ready for a player like an Aaron Judge. Just make win-now moves, but not all-in championship or bust moves. Number 2, start building up that bullpen. We know it can't be done in one offseason, but you got to start somewhere. So the D-backs need to come away with a couple of quality relievers. Number 3, explore the trade market for the outfielders, but don't rush into anything. You want to see what kind of value these outfielders have. So if they play even better during the season, you can ask for even more. Number 4, don't sign veterans to take major opportunity away from the young players. So don't sign old, crusty starters to take away opportunity from the Dre Jamesons of the world. Don't sign the Jordan Luplos to take opportunity away from the Varshos of the world. If you're going to sign a veteran, it better be for like shortstop or third base or, something like that. Don't do it at positions where you already have a young, darling just waiting in the wings. And then number 5, get Madison Bumgarner off this team because he's definitely more of a detrimental than anything else.